When Alan Bowell, an accomplished singer-songwriter and blues guitarist from Blackpool, felt a little unwell one Tuesday afternoon last September, he thought he was coming down with a virus or a cold and headed off to bed. A few hours later, he was shivering violently, and by the morning he felt so bad he called an ambulance, and within a few minutes paramedics were rushing him the short distance to the local hospital. He fell unconscious on the journey and was gravely ill on admission. Some hours later, he was transferred to intensive care and his family were called to his bedside. Alan had suffered a ruptured colon and had developed peritonitis and sepsis, a serious condition that kills more than 45,000 people each year in the UK. According to the Sepsis Trust, there were more than 250,000 cases of sepsis last year in Britain, and that number is increasing steadily. If sepsis is not recognised and treated quickly, septic shock sets in and you develop dangerously low blood pressure, and this quickly leads to multi-organ failure and death. To prevent this, a range of drugs called vasopressors are administered to help restore and maintain the blood pressure until the infection is under control. However, these drugs can have some serious side effects, as Alan was to discover when he woke from his coma after 10 days.
So when did you first start feeling unwell?
Well, I hadn't felt too good on the Tuesday, but I'd gone to bed on the Tuesday night. I started shaking in bed and asked Alice if she would get me a hot water bottle. She brought 2 back. So I put on a dressing gown and I recovered from the shaking that I was, the violent shaking I was having in bed, and managed to get some sleep.
Okay, and the next morning you were feeling a bit better?
I was feeling okay, but still a bit shaky. Alice had to go out to see her mother and said, "Don't go downstairs or you might fall." I did go downstairs and I was sat around for an hour or so and then started shaking again very badly. I rang the ambulance and on 999, I'd previously rung 111. The ambulance turned up probably after 5 or 6 minutes. They asked me about the condition I was in. I told them that I'd been shaking, etc., and the medication that I'd been taking. They put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me through to the ambulance, taking the medication with them, and I was taken to Blackpool Victoria Hospital.
Okay. So Alice, on the Tuesday night when you gone to bed and Alan woke up at some point and he was shaking, that must have been quite frightening.
It was early hours of the morning and he was really, really shaking. That's what woke me up actually, the bed vibrating. And I asked him how he was and he asked me to get him a hot water bottle. Brought 2 back and he put the big thick house coat on. I kept saying to him, "I'm going to ring an ambulance," and he didn't want me to at that point.
Okay.
So I thought he's best to have a sleep.
And the next
And
morning
the
when he
next
woke up, he
morning-
was better, and you went to see your mum.
He was better, yeah.
And then
he
you
had
got
a drink
back.
of tea, he didn't want anything to eat, and I was away for about an hour and a half. I brought my mum back with me, and when I walked in the lounge, I realised
No sign of him.
he's gone. There was rubber gloves left on the coffee table and these lines going through to where he's sat on the settee. And
And
obviously, in my mind, I thought, God, they've come and taken him to hospital.
Okay, was there a note left for you at that point?
No
or
note.
No telephone call
No
or whatever.
telephone
So
call
you
or
just
anything.
assumed he'd gone to hospital.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
off you went, and
Yeah,
you found him in accident emergency.
I did, yeah. We were
Okay.
working frantically on him, backwards and forwards, different ones.
And he was in there for the rest of the day until he was transferred to a
Yeah, to
observation
acute,
unit, acute
yeah,
medical.
acute medical unit, where he was on there for a couple of hours, and apparently middle of the night they rang and said, get yourself down here, he's deteriorating.
Okay.
That was probably about 3:30.
And then he had his operation the next day.
Had his operation the next day, and they took him down to theatre about 3:30 the next day.
And then intensive care for the next
Yeah, the
week or so?
intensive care was 10 days
10
in
days.
total.
And he was
yeah.
unconscious during that
Because
time.
because he came over, from 10 days.
So you've been in a coma for 10 days, you've had a partial bowel resection, and you're coming out your coma. What was your first thoughts when you were coming out? Were you aware where you were?
Well, I very mixed up. I lost consciousness in the ambulance going through to hospital. I really wouldn't be a good witness for the 10 days because I've been told of all sorts of things that happened I have no recollection of whatsoever. And when I came round, I knew I was in hospital, but I didn't think it was the hospital I was in. I thought it was on a trading estate, for no apparent reason. I think that's about all I can say. I really haven't got much idea of anything.
Okay. After a few days, you'd obviously notice your hands and your feet were bandaged, and there was a problem with your right foot especially. What were your thoughts when you looked at your hands? And
Well, I asked people, and they rather said, "Well, we'll get round to doing this and etc." And it wasn't till later that I realised the seriousness of what it would be, and then I was directed to go and see a surgeon who would deal with this.
okay, when were you told you'd actually had sepsis?
I don't think I ever really was.
Nobody told you had sepsis at that point, but they told you, Alice, when Alan was recovering in ITU.
Yes, it would be quite a while. Yes, quite a while afterwards.
Okay.
Um,
Right. So after a few days, after you come round, you saw some surgeons about your hands and your feet. What did they say to you?
Well, I saw three surgeons really over a period of time, but the first one said to me that he was leaving his clinic, and I just caught him, and he said that in a very offhand manner that the tips of those two fingers could be cut back to the joint there. The thumb had come off. Had I given any thought to having a lower leg amputation, and I was rather shocked by it all because I didn't think it was as severe as that.
That was going to be a bit of a bugger for your guitar playing then.
It certainly was.
Certainly was, isn't it? Alice, what did you think? Were you there at that time when he was getting that news?
No, he did tell me though when I went visiting, and then we had to see another consultant, and we were in between, and it was a bit traumatic for us because we're told one way and then we're told another way, and you just have to try and put some trust somewhere.
That was a bit of a stressful time,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
Okay. So you're back home after getting discharged from the hospital, and you started a course of hyperbaric oxygen up in Lancaster. How did you feel when you went into the chamber the first time?
Quite okay. The people who were there were reassuring. had an oxygen mask on that was a little bit painful on the bridge of my big, rather sticky out nose, and but apart from that, it was a very comfortable and pleasant experience. No side effects whatsoever.
Okay, what did you feel with your hands and your feet?
The first 2 or 3 times I felt that there was movement, there was pins and needles, and like a feeling of circulation coming back.
Okay. So we're now in June 2019, which is about just approaching 10 months after you got the sepsis, and you've had the surgery on your foot to remove the end of your right foot and to tie your toes and a couple of fingers on your hands as well. How you feel now? You're still waiting for your stoma reversal, but how are you feeling generally now?
Better than I was. I always feel know that I'm feeling better, but it's only when you then feel slightly more better that you realise that you were not quite right to start off with. I'm getting a bit more mobile. Things are knitting together more. It's still some time to go though.
Okay, you still have some fluid and electrolyte imbalance problems, so you're getting some salts every now and again as well. So this long-term sepsis complications can go on for quite some time then.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that when I do go back to look at the reversal of the operation, that it won't be granted as if in a matter of a couple of weeks. It'll be a series of events that'll bring it on to see whether I'm strong enough at that time.
Of course, but you're back playing your guitar again, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm around doing various things and feel okay with it.
Oh, that's good. You're going to give us a little tune.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.